Welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon. Guys and girls, I am a retired New York City police detective with 20 plus years of law enforcement. If you like all things true crime related from the police perspective, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you'll get all things DutyRon when I go live or upload another video. And on Mother's Day, I'd like to first and foremost say thank you to all the great mothers out there. Happy Mother's Day. I hope you have a great Sunday here in the United States. I hope each and every one of you get phone calls, get showered with love. And if you haven't or you're not close with your family, I am showering you with love and respect and support on Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to each and every one of you out there. Today, we're going to talk about day 9 of the manhunt for Casey White and Vicky White. We're on day 9. It just seems unbelievable that these two can still be out on the run. The US Marshals, the FBI, and state, local, federal authorities are on the case night and day, trying to look for leads, trying to look for that one little piece, that one little snippet of information that could lead them to Casey White and Vicky White, who are considered armed and dangerous. And we're going to hear a little bit about Casey White's history here today. I'm going to go into it briefly with you guys, but I definitely did want to come on and give you guys some updates. Yesterday was a crazy busy day. I had an interview set up with Gene Robinson from SAR Drones in Texas. Family comes first here on Crime Time with DutyRon. And again, Mother's Day, I got permission from Mrs. DutyRon to do this live stream kind of early, so I wanted to do it early today. And you know, again, family comes first. So yesterday, family consumed a great deal of my day. I did do an interview with Toby Dorr on Tier Talk with Anthony Ganji. She is a she's a woman who broke out a murderer in 2006. So it's coming up on 16 years come next month. Toby Dorr is going to be a guest on Crime Time with DutyRon this week. I don't know exactly when, but I'm going to get her on this week, and we're going to do a full interview with her. We're going to talk to her about Casey White, Vicky White, and what they are going through potentially right now, and some of the trials and tribulations of being on the run. But let's listen to this little clip from a local affiliate, 19 WHNT. So go right on to this. Those of you who don't realize it, what's playing in the background is from the motel. You know, the video surveillance from behind the counter. That's Vicky White pacing back and forth. So as this young lady is speaking, this news reporter, that is video. It's 19 seconds of Vicky White the morning of April 29th, Friday morning.
Alabama law enforcement officials are hoping to gather new leads.
This crime scene unit is there from the Metro Tennessee Police Department. That's their crime scene unit. And, you know, again, they're there a little bit late in the game, but the dogs are going to try to pick up any scents or anything like that to see if, in fact, these two were actually there. If this was just not a decoy car that was dumped there by another person or other persons. In other words, my theory is, and this is potential, this is just a potential theory, is that they didn't even drive that car up there, that somebody else drove that car up there to be a decoy, to lead authorities on a wild goose chase up into Middle Tennessee, when in fact, maybe they went west or east and south or north. I don't think they would travel in that same direction of the decoy. My sense, my spidey sense and my detective sense says that they went west and south. But that's just me. But I want you guys to take a peek at this and look. This is the Tennessee authorities. This is Tennessee crime scene unit, and the dogs that are out on the property that was close by where this Ford Edge was dumped.
The rust-colored 2007 just.
So that's the residence close by where that car was left abandoned, ladies and gentlemen, just to give you a good idea of what that officer in plain clothes walking around with an AR-15 style rifle. That's because they are armed and dangerous. They have an AR-15. So when you are trying to find somebody who's on the run, who has that kind of firepower, you're going to have armed, heavily armed officers that are trained in using assault weapons. You could see this guy walking with the dog when it just, the vehicle, in my sense, with my experience or skills, if you're planning out something like this, you're not going to drive it and just dump it, even if it was, let's just say for argument's sake, the car broke down. Again, you can't push a car in the middle of nowhere, but that was not a road that seemed to be a road of a travel or an escape route. If you look at the hotel on the map where she signed out of in the morning, there was a road, I think it was Highway 43, Interstate 43, I believe. Don't hold me to that number, but it was an interstate that was right. She could have got a hotel room closer to the jail, but she got one further away because right there was a route that led straight up north. And, a couple of zigzags, a couple of turns and twists. But that 43 route was leading straight up into Middle Tennessee. And that's where that car went. So that is, again, a theory, is a possibility. It's not 100%, but if she is the person that they're claiming that she is, and that she plans everything well, then there's a good, there's a strong chance that, that vehicle, again, could potentially be a vehicle to throw everybody off. And law enforcement isn't stupid. The US Marshals, they know, and they're working on every angle of this. So I want to just go to also a Newsnation report just to show a little bit of the violent tendencies that Casey White has. And for those of you who suffer from PTSD, I know it's Mother's Day, but let me just say hello to a couple of good friends. Timmy Acosta, hello, and happy Mother's Day to your better half, my fine friend. Let me just scroll back and say quickly hello before we jump into this. Hello, Jeffrey. Good to see you. Crowley, thank you, Nancy. Eileen, Matty Boy, Sully, tell the missus happy Mother's Day. Sana, good to see you. Absolutely, Jane. Borders at the north and at the south. Listen, let me just explain something. I have friends who are still NYPD, Nassau County, Suffolk County, Westchester County, here in New York. All of the local. I have friends in lots of local police departments, so I reached out to them. I reached out to them on a friendly and a professional level, and I asked, do you guys have a bolo? Do you guys have these pictures of these two fugitives? And they said yes. All of the major metropolitan police departments across the United States have Vicky White and Casey White's pictures, all of the pertinent information. They are all notified nationwide. Let me just say that again. Nationwide, every police department in the United States, and probably outside of the United States, but the chances of them leaving the country are pretty slim. Every police department across the United States knows about these people. And that's no secret. Good to see you, Russian Aloha. Thank you so much for joining from Hawaii. Great to see you. Thank you so much. Love the picture. Looks like you're having a good old time there. Hope you're enjoying yourself. Lorna McKenzie, Bonnie. Good to see you, Bonnie. How you doing, Marie? Tara, hello. Great to see you. It's no problem. Always great to see everybody joining in. Gerda is here from South Africa. I'm just checking the chat. Let's see who else is here. Black Rose 11, happy Mother's Day to you. Much love and respect. Tara Ellis is here as well. Thank you, Minx, for being here. Southern Brotherhood has helped. Yeah, Casey, yeah. So again, I spoke about this. He's connected to the White Aryan Nation, and these are very evil, sick people. And this guy is a real piece of garbage, and he's dangerous. So let's listen to this next little snippet from Newsnation. They do a lot of great coverage on this. So let's take a peek here.
Casey White and Vicky White, not related, is getting more intense by the day. This couple could be anywhere, and they could be gaining ground as we speak right now. It is important to note that this is far from your average manhunt. Casey White is a dangerous fugitive, as we continue to lay out, with a long rap sheet. Not only is he convicted of murder.
This is from 2015 body cam footage of when he went on the run after he shot a dog and killed somebody. So this is footage from 2015, ladies and gentlemen.
Or charged with murder. He went on a crime spree in Alabama in 2015. Manhunt. Casey White is a dangerous fugitive, as we continue to lay out, with a long rap sheet. Not only is he convicted of murder or charged with murder, he went on a crime spree in Alabama in 2015, then stole an SUV and drove to a rest stop in Tennessee, where he then tried to carjack a semi-truck and then opened fire after that. Casey is no stranger to being on the run. Vicky may know a thing or two about evading authorities herself with her experience in law enforcement. But if there is anyone who knows who these two are, it's my next two guests, Sheriff Kyle Helton and Lieutenant Shane Hunter from Giles County, Tennessee. To you both, welcome, and thank you for being part of this special coverage tonight.
These are the two that took him into custody when he went on his crime spree.
Of this manhunt, they could be anywhere. Lieutenant, I want to start with you. You've been face to face with Casey White. What is your message to the public tonight?
Listen to this.
Well, obviously, I had a lot of interaction with Casey after the crime spree and had the opportunity to sit down and talk with him and process what had occurred on that particular night. And obviously, you know, Casey admitted to his mental issues that he had, and obviously his addiction to drugs. And the two, when mixed together, obviously Casey is extremely volatile. That particular night, obviously, he'd been off his medication for a lengthy period of time and had introduced meth. So when those two together, obviously Casey become a very dangerous person that particular.
Hey, let me just say something quickly. First of all, thank you for that super chat. Thea, thank you for the $10 super chat. It says, interesting that Toby and John also went to Tennessee after escaping. They escaped from Kansas. And, you know, Tennessee has lots of mountainous and lots of rural areas, but there's so many rural parts of the country. I don't think I think it's just a coincidence. It's the same coincidence that these two share the same last names, and rumors are swirling that they could be related. In 2010, there was 660,000 Americans with last name White. So it's number 24 in 2010 of the numbers of. There's a actual list that's compiled of the most common last names, and the last name White is number 24 on the list. So 660,000 Americans have the same last name as White. So it is an odd coincidence, but there is no relation. It's been checked. It's been rechecked. And that is something out the window. As far as drug use, Casey White was not a drug addict because he's been in prison for 2 years. He's not smoking meth. He's not doing heroin. He's not getting high in prison. So let me just put that rumor to rest as well. In jail, you cannot be and maintain your habit and be a junkie. That just doesn't happen. So let's get that out of the way so people can just understand. That doesn't mean that he didn't get out and go and get high immediately. That could be. But again, this is all speculation. So let me let the rest of this roll. Ed Wallace is joining us, and that adds to the excitement of the 1,000 plus people watching this live stream right now. But thank you, Thea, for being here. Let me add Ed before we go any further. I'll finish playing the rest of this. Bam! There he is. Look at him now. Ed Wallace. Thank you for joining.
What's going on?
How are you, brother?
All right. Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Yeah. So, Ed, I know you've been missing in action, and for good reason. You had a loss in your family. Your wife lost her first cousin, and you guys were at the funeral and the services and things like that. So we send our condolences to you and your family and the missus, and happy Mother's Day to your wife as well. We just spoke earlier. So, and
same to yours. Thank you for your condolences.
Thank you, Ed. Ed, so we're just going to play another little piece. These are the lieutenant and the detective who hunted down Casey White in 2015 when he went on his crime spree. So I was in the middle of playing that, so I'm going to play it, and then we'll come back. I know everyone is just chomping at the bit and so excited. Look at the chat lit up with the love. Oh, Ed, we miss you. We love you. Look at that.
Love you too.
All right, let's go. Let's rock and roll with this.
Evening.
Take us back to 2015.
So when those two together, obviously Casey become a very dangerous person that particular evening.
Take us back to 2015 when he was cornered by police at that point after Connie Ridgway's murder, a chase. Walk us through what happened.
Yeah, so obviously he transferred over into Tennessee from the crime spree there in Alabama, came to a rest stop here in Tennessee where he had approached the truck driver, tried to apprehend and actually make that truck driver drive the vehicle. And his own words were that law enforcement would not be looking for me in an 18-wheeler. Once he realized that that person was not going to provide that vehicle very easily, he moved on to the next person, which would have been a female. She's seen him approach with a gun in his hand. She locked the door and then attempted to flee from him, and that's when he began to open fire upon her. He then left the area and then continued north on I-65, where then he carjacked a vehicle. Once inside that vehicle, he proceeded back on I-65 south, where he entered back into Limestone County, where a pursuit began with Limestone County. And then ultimately, he wrecked the vehicle and then ultimately got out of the vehicle. And obviously, he had requested Sheriff Blakely to come to the scene, which ultimately happened. Obviously, there's a lot of intense moments. And in fact, in Casey's own words, when I interviewed him that particular night, his intentions were to make law enforcement kill him.
So suicide by cop, that was a hell of a night. He ruined many people's lives. And if he would have been able to continue with that crime spree, many more people would have been either injured or killed. This is just, again, just to give you guys some background on how violent this guy is. And this was just in 2015, and he hasn't changed, trust me. And for those of you who think that inmates can maintain be junkies in jail, the percentages of that happening are slim. They're very small, and it may be smaller pockets of the correctional field that can happen. But I spoke to Anthony Ganji, who's been in the correction business for a long time, and then it's not as common as everybody thinks it is. I know it's spoken about out there, and a lot of things, a lot of people talk about that, but it's not as easy as what you think. So, but let's just let the rest of this play, because this is some good info.
Makes him even more dangerous tonight because, as we've said before,
To make law enforcement kill him.
which makes him even more dangerous tonight because, as we've said before, and you both know this, he has nothing to lose. He is facing capital murder charges and the death penalty once he is caught. He has been described as someone who has no regard for his own life and also for the life of others. Would you both agree with that?
Yes, ma'am, we do.
What else
Yeah,
stands out to
absolutely.
you?
He has
Go ahead.
Yeah, he has no regard for human life whatsoever. If somebody's cornered, if he's cornered, then obviously he's going to resort to whatever means he may have at his choosing to try to render that situation in his favor.
Sheriff, what was your reaction when you heard that Casey White had escaped, knowing that he had a plan to escape and had extra security supposed to be on him because of that plan?
Well, it was real concerning from the standpoint of our, as a matter of fact, Lieutenant Hunter was the one who contacted me, excuse me, and notified me about it. And I do remember that night, the bedlam that was in the county. I had already contacted other officers that were off duty to get active because we had already had two spots that he did the shooting at the rest area and then carjacked at the pilot at the exit 22. But at that time, we didn't know where he was at and where he was going. So we wanted to cover the county best we could. And probably about 30 minutes after that was when we found that Limestone County had found the car that he had just stolen, and then the pursuit started with them.
So to you both tonight, he could be anywhere, but he was pretty close to Tennessee when this all started, and that car was abandoned in Tennessee. So I would imagine you're on the lookout for him. What is your message to the public tonight if anybody comes in contact with him, and the message to law enforcement in your jurisdiction or elsewhere of what he's capable of?
He's capable of anything. You know, the public has a clue or think that it's him. Just call 911. Do not try to approach or do not try to deal with somebody like that. In law enforcement, I know that it's well promoted all over the country. So, and he is the type person that it's going to be hard to hide. So everybody's on alert and real cautious.
Well, he's going to come up for air at some point. Let's just hope it doesn't end badly. Sheriff Kyle Helton.
So there you have it, folks. Ed, what's your take on this? This guy's dangerous. This guy's armed. He's got her service weapon, an AR-15 and a shotgun. You heard these two say if he comes and gets cornered, he's going to shoot it out. He tried suicide by cop. Any thoughts, Ed?
Well, you know, as they said, historically he's used weapons. He's fired them in numerous cases, in numerous situations. So he's not opposed to pulling a trigger. So they have to know that going into this, and they should, you know, abide by that caution. You know, if you see him, call 911. If you're not trained and able to deal with this individual, you shouldn't be approaching them.
Yeah. And the car that was discovered up in Middle Tennessee, again, there was no sign of any type of blood like you and I spoke about, if there was her blood in the car. So it leads more to a decoy vehicle in this escape, but it's just a potential possibility. You know, I keep speaking about it, and I'll make a disclaimer. That's just my personal thoughts. Ed, what's your thoughts on that car?
You know, I'm thinking too that you know, it's just to lead law enforcement astray. He probably has some co-conspirators in his small group of white nationalist or racist white supremacist organization that he belongs to, that he could reach out for help. So it wouldn't surprise me if this was all a part of the plan. You know, but then again, the car's information was released early on to the general public, so they were aware, should have been made aware of it. Now, you know, just think about it. If you're them, you're listening to the news broadcast in your car. You know, you're trying to follow everything on the news as well. You know, on television and radio, and seeing what law enforcement has to say, and then you're adjusting your plan as needed. You know, it was funny because you were talking about the drug use in jail. You know, there was something else he wasn't getting in jail either, but apparently she, before the breakout, made a stop in an adult store to pick up some stuff for what she planned was going to happen afterwards.
Right. When we were trying to get confirmation of it, I think Brian Enton went into that lingerie place, and they wouldn't give confirmation. They were told that you know, they were not allowed to speak to anybody about it. But yeah, I'm pretty certain that she did go in there. But again, you know, it is what it is. This is not going to end well, I believe, for both of them. And I think that he used her to get out of prison, and I don't think he had any love for her other than the want and need to break out, because as the sheriff says, Sheriff Singleton, he says this guy has nothing to lose. He's facing right now, he's sentenced to 75 years, 38 years old. That's the life expectancy. That's 75 years. He was facing 2 counts of capital murder in June next month. And, you know, he's got nothing to lose. And I spoke last night with Toby Dorr. She broke a prisoner out in 2006 in Kansas. And she brought him out in a dog crate. They went to a cabin in Tennessee in the middle of the woods and spent 12 days. She even spoke about having sex with him the first night. And the rest of their 12 days was fighting. They spent fighting about her telling him to, you know, do this, and he was telling her to shut up. And it was like the whole thing. It was just a nightmare, because you're dealing with a prisoner. This is a convict. You're not dealing with a gentleman. This guy's not going to treat her like a lady. He's going to treat her like an object. And she basically was just a vehicle to get him out. The U.S. Marshals are unbelievable. They have such a great track record with finding people. But when you have, this amount of time, and when you have that time to travel and to move, it makes it hard. The United States is a huge country. What's the obstacles that they're facing here, Ed, besides the time and distance?
Well, their faces plastered all over the news nationwide and internationally. They're going to have to come up with the disguises. They're going to have to. They have limited cash. They can't be using credit cards because that can be tracked. It's just a matter of time before someone spots them when they surface again. But obviously, they switch vehicles. Now, just think about this. Now, they said the vehicle was found on a desolate road in Tennessee, and it was empty. None of their belongings. And I think Ron and I, we spoke about this earlier, but, they're traveling heavy. They're not traveling light. They have whatever they need to get on the road. I mean, they have the guns. So the guns require to be put in cases because you're not going to just openly travel with these guns. Then you have clothing that they stopped. They bought numerous articles of clothing. And you have like $90,000 in cash. Eventually, you're going to eat through that cash. Right. So you're going to end up having to do either get cash from another means or somebody to help you get some cash, or you're going to start committing stop and shop robberies.
Right. Here's another great comment, Ed. The authorities said that he's fine while he's on medication, but he is mentally ill and he doesn't do well without his medicine. How is he going to get the medicine when they're on the run? That's a great one. That's a great question.
Unless part of her planning was to obtain that meds, but that requires prescriptions. So then you'd have to get a doctor on board with you, pay off a doctor to get prescriptions. And we know too, from her purchase rather of the vehicle, she used fraudulent identification. Yeah. Okay. So she probably has a series of fraudulent IDs for both of them. Okay. Yeah,
there's going to be quite a bit of obstacles for them to overcome here and to maintain this anonymity, and to be undercover and to fly under the radar. And like you said, every authority across the United States has their picture in their face. Again, it's going to be difficult at best to maneuver across the United States or even maneuver in a small area, because these smaller areas, as we know, everybody knows everybody. And when you have strange people, whether they got wigs on or disguises, and you go into some small little town, people are going to be like, hey, who the hell is this? We don't know who these people are. So every morning I wake up and I look at the reports and I feel like, this is going to be the day. And, Mother's Day here in the United States doesn't mean that law enforcement and the rest of the federal, state, and local community is taking a pause. I've worked many Mother's Days, and I'm sure you have too, Ed. The law enforcement authorities are out there and they're actively looking. And now everybody is being told at roll call, these are fugitives. This guy is wanted. He's a murderer. He's killed people and he'll continue to kill. I just want to play another little piece and then we got to wrap it up, because me and Ed want to stay married, for a while. And we don't want to have our significant others, getting pissed off at us. So we're going to play this quick little piece. And I got one more after this that I want to show you. This is, again, the U.S. Marshals asking for help.
Way 31's Xavier Wary spoke to a Gulf Coast Regional Task Force commander today. So, Xavier, what did he tell you about all this?
Yeah, Brittany, Chad Hunt with the Gulf Coast Regional Fugitive Task Force says with the vehicle being found in Williamson County, Tennessee, it has given them a more specific area to focus in on, trying to find Casey White and Vicky White.
Even though we are 7 days, after the fact of the vehicle being dumped, we have that foundation. We have that springboard starting point.
Before the vacant vehicle was located, Hunt says they were looking in every direction.
Now we have that direction, and so all of our resources are there until we have another direction to pursue.
Casey White and Vicky White had already crossed state lines and abandoned the vehicle before anyone noticed last Friday. They've now been on the run for 9 days.
This is the long game, right? They have to look over their shoulder every single day. Time is definitely in the favor of the investigators. But I can tell you right now, we have not stopped working on this case since last Friday.
Investigators say they won't stop until they are found. As the active manhunt continues, Hunt emphasizes both Casey and Vicky have nothing to lose.
Hey, Ed, I wanted to stop that there because I talked about this without you, but I know that you would be on the same page with me. Did you see how the Sally port on both sides of the that carport where the prisoner was coming out? Where I know from picking up hundreds, perhaps even close to thousands of people in the trip team, when we would go outside the New York area or inside Rikers Island, no prisoner would come out with both back and front gates wide open. And that's a telltale sign that she had complete and total control over the situation, because that breaks protocol on every single level.
Yeah, and that also why she wasn't reported, and because of her rank and the fact that she's gotten people fired. She has that ability, and that also brings up, well, maybe she got the meds from the dispensary in the prison, right? Maybe she was able to get in there and take meds. So somebody should do an inventory, see if there's anything missing in terms of the meds that he takes. She would know that, but then again, once he's out, he probably doesn't want to take those meds anymore.
Right.
Okay. And that's going to make him violent again.
Yeah, violent, and like this US Marshal, that's the fugitive task force, probably supervisor or the lead on the case. He said time is on our side. The more time that these guys are on the run and they got to look over their shoulder, the more chances for them to make a mistake. I
remember having to go into Rikers Island, and that you couldn't get into one location without. You get on a gate, you say, okay, you're on the gate. They open the gate for you. You get into the next location. Your gate closes before the next one opens.
Yeah, absolutely. I used to go to Rikers every single tour, every day when I went to work for the last 3.5 years of my career was spent going to jails, going to Westchester County, going to Essex and Jersey, going to Pennsylvania, going to Connecticut. And every single facility, even if they were old, they were outfitted with the Sally ports like this. And when you look at this, I mean, I can't believe initially I didn't see it the first time. Thank you so much for that super sticker. Thank you, Chai Crimes. I appreciate that. When I saw this initially, I'm shocked that I didn't catch on immediately, but it was after the second or third look at it, and I was like, wait a minute. There's light of day on both sides of this thing. Right. And now I have video of those gates closing after she leaves.
Right, and she's leading, and she's in front of him. I mean, we already said this already. She's in front of him. You never let the perp walk behind you. No, it's crazy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let's let the rest of this play. I want to just hear what this the supervisor says. He talks a little bit more here.
Hunt says he isn't ruling out the possibility of Vicky potentially getting help from some familiar faces.
She treated these inmates, above par, if you will. They had a lot of respect for her. So one of the things that we do have to account and sit back and look at is 17 years worth of contact with other inmates that, are potentially out now. Is that another avenue that she's exploiting? That's something that we have to look at, and we are looking at.
Hunt continues to encourage the public to send in tips, no matter how small you may think they are. He says they will help in capturing Casey and Vicky. Live in studio.
So that was pretty good. I like that they had the lead on there, and he was speaking about, some of the things that they are looking at. And this is not a complete list of investigative tools and directions that they're going in. And when he talked about resources up in Middle Tennessee, Ed, a lot of people get freaked out by that and be like, well, what if they're really not there? Well, guess what? US Marshals are throughout the whole United States. They got people in the West, they got people in the East, they got people in the North and then South and everywhere in between that are on this case. And we've had so many instances where we've had fugitives run from New York, commit a murder, go to Pennsylvania, go to Connecticut, to tri-state, and we've worked side by side. Your son can tell you about fugitive enforcement in the NYPD, the warrant squad, we work with the US Marshals. They're embedded with us. So this works hand in hand. This is like a well-oiled machine. This is kind of the stuff that these guys and girls live and breathe for, right?
That's right. That's right.
So,
There's no kind of life here. I mean, if you're going on the run and you got to hide like this, what kind of life are you going to have? You're gonna have to bury yourself in location and not pop your head out. So I would think that they would look to go someplace else out of the country to a non-extradition country, in South America, Mexico, whatever the case may be, to have some kind of life. Because I mean, just think about it. I mean, all your life you're going to be running. All your life you're going to be looking over your shoulder. You're going to have to, watch where you go, what you say, who you speak to. Again, you said you show up in a small town. Well, people are going to notice this. Okay, so they don't really have much of a chance here.
Yeah, I agree, Ed. You're 100% on par with that. This is again a game of time versus them running out of resources. And again, 6'9", she's pretty easily identifiable. She's got that little bit of a limp to her walk. It's not like these two are someone who they can't just blend in with society as a team together. Maybe solo she can, but that's even if she's still alive. Hey, I wanted to play a piece. This is Charles Aberthany, victim of Casey Cole White. This guy was almost killed by him back in 2015. I want to just play this little piece so everyone can hear what he has to say about Casey White. This is someone who's in fear of his life because now he's out. So let's hear what he has to say.
My boyfriend at the time, doing my usual. Me and my boyfriend at the time, we were watching a TV. It was a horror film. And Carrie had just come back there, just to hang out for just a minute or two, with us, And at that point in time, we didn't smoke in the house because out of respect of our father, because he had, quit smoking before he passed. And she was like, hey, I'm going to step outside and smoke a cigarette. I'll be back. She's like, don't pause the movie or nothing, keep watching it. And we're like, okay, cool. So she went out to go smoke her cigarette. Next thing you know, she's running in the door, pushing the door in, saying, Casey's here with a gun. Casey's here with a gun. She tries to shut the door. And whenever she tries to shut the door, he's literally like right there. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen a picture of this kid or guy. He's a giant. And I have never seen this guy a day before in my life. I've heard his name. I knew who he was, but I had never, met or anything. And I'm sitting there looking at this dude. He's got two guns and he's pointing at me and my boyfriend.
Two guns.
And he's saying, get down, get down, get down. And we all remember things differently, the way I remember it is I just immediately started praying, I may be gay, but I'm still, I love God. That's just who I am. And anyway, so I had immediately started praying, and my dog, Missy Britches, which I could get you a picture of that.
Thanks.
He killed his
She is
dog.
the true heroine of the story. She saved our lives. If it wouldn't have been for her, I am 99.999% sure we would have died that night. Actually, no, I'm 100% sure we would have probably died that night.
He killed his dog. So let me pause this before we have. So that was a victim of this guy. Casey White shot his dog. And I'm going to show you the picture of his dog now, if I can get this to stop. There's a picture of his dog. It's like a Doberman Pinscher mix. So let me get that up on the screen so you guys can all see it. And that's how savage this guy is. So this is the dog. And the gentleman who was just speaking, the dog name was Miss Bridges, helped rescue the owner. He started biting Casey White. This dog was the sweetest, non-violent dog, but sensed that there was trouble that night when he came in with the gun, and the dog started biting him, and it distracted Casey White from killing them. And that's why this gentleman just said, I'm 99. And then he said, no, I'm 100% sure this dog right here, who was shot 3 times by Casey White and killed, gave them an opportunity. His attention was taken off of them because the dog started biting them to save them, and they ran out. And then the rest is history. So again, that just goes to show you how savage this Casey White is, and how he has no regard not only for human life, but for animals. And for someone to shoot a dog, it takes a really special kind of evil to do that. Let me know in the chat what you guys think of this. And Ed, did you know about this? That this guy did that? I think you read it. You read it. We talked about it. Just again, spending the time in prison from 2015 to now, and then he had his epiphany where he said, "Oh, in 2020, I'm going to admit to the murder, the stabbing death of his victim, 58-year-old. I have her name written down. He stabbed her in Rogersville, Connie Ridgway, 58 years old. He stabbed her to death in 2015, and he admitted to that in 2020 he wanted to get moved, I think. And this is where the ball started rolling, I think, with Casey and Vicky White's relationship. He tried to conjure up a way to get himself to the county jail, and then the ball started rolling. I think we'll hear about that sometime soon. But what does everybody think about how horrific this guy is, that he went as far as that night in 2015 shooting this guy's dog? And he fired 3 shots also at the people trying to get out. So the guy's a madman. Ed, what's your thoughts before we get out of here on how this is going to end?
It's not going to end well for both parties here. Just like if you look at the historical cases like this, it doesn't bode well for her, and he may go out in a blaze of glory.
Yeah, I think
he said he wanted that suicide by cop. Well, he may just get what he wants.
Right. Hey, again, what I worry about is for the men and women and in blue across the country, whoever has to come in contact with them, and the general public. Because listen, we could have a shop worker or a clerk that maybe wants to play, detective, or wants to be the hero here and say something to her or him. Let's just say he gets bold enough where he does come out and goes out with, changed identity and still the same size. Because there are a lot of tall men out there, but not many that are 6'9". But if he goes out and someone says, "Hey, they're looking for you," what do you think this guy's going to do? He's going to shoot them.
Yeah, even in a wheelchair, where somebody was saying that there was some speculation about him being in a wheelchair.
How's he going to fit in it?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be huge in that wheelchair. Okay, but here's another thing. Somebody in the chat was talking about Whitey Bulger. Yeah, Whitey Bulger was on the run for a long time, and he was living in California. Yeah, absolutely. But he's a senior citizen. He's nowhere near 6'8". I mean, he easily could change his appearance, and that's what he did. He did change his appearance for all intents and purposes with his wife on the run, right. And and they lived a quiet life in a condo complex, or so I mean, it's a little bit different circumstances. Okay.
Yeah. Well, let's say hello to everybody in the chat. Animal Advocate is here. Thank you for being here. Crossroads and Cats. He could amputate his legs. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. That's sensible. Listen, Ed GSD, thank you for your service, and thank you for the comment before. Ed, I saw that comment, which was really a good one. Ed GSD said, the general public and everybody this is what we're talking about, but this was way before I saw it, and then we started going forward. He said the general public and anybody needs to know how dangerous this guy is and to be careful. So Ed, thank you for that. Thank you for that message. I want to show you guys a little bit of our new friend, Toby Dorr. She broke a prisoner out in 2006, and I just want to show you an interview that she did in 2015 with CNN. And she talks about what she did and how she was manipulated and how she was kind of romanced by this dog handler in prison. So she's going to tell a little bit of her story. I just want you guys to see it because we're going to have her on the show So this is Toby Dorr in 2015. Let's see if I can get this full screen. There we go.
Joyce Mitchell. Wonder how somebody can get to a place where she helped somebody escape from prison. I wonder how it happened for you. What was it that this guy did or said that created that connection between the two of you?
Well, first of all, I think a woman has to be at a point where she's pretty broken and she's in a desperate state. And when you're in that state, things that normally seem ridiculous don't seem so far-fetched.
That's who she broke out right there.
So in my instance, I was working really hard. I had a lifetime where I worked really hard and I performed at a high level. And I just felt this tremendous pressure to always be on and be my best for everybody and everything that I did. And I reached a breaking point. And in my case, I happened to reach the breaking point just at the same time that an inmate took notice of me and told me how nice I looked and acted like he cared about what kind of a mood I was in on that particular day. And
Was he
just
somebody
really like pouring?
Sorry,
That's the
was
inmate.
he somebody who kind of you felt listened to you or noticed things about you when other people in your life didn't?
Yes, exactly. And we would spend a lot of time talking, and it was just, you know, human beings want to have a connection with somebody, and when you have
That's who
someone
she
who
broke
just
out.
spends a lot of time talking to you and telling you things about you that you like to hear, it's kind of just like pouring water on a dying plant.
I know he sort of became your protector. There was an incident where somebody threatened you and he stepped in. He became your escort around the prison. I've talked to some
Yes.
experts who say that often it starts with something small, like a small.
She told me last night when I spoke to her on Tier Talk, I had the honor to speak to this woman last night. She told me that was the turning point for her that made her decide that she was going to help get this guy out of jail. That what he did for her to help save her from another inmate was the turning point for her.
Will you do me a favor? It's kind of a baby step, and you kind of end up on this journey that you never thought you would end up being on.
Yes, exactly. And I think, you know, anything in our life, I think, starts with baby steps, just like that. But in my case, it was, you know, someone stuck up for me and kept me from being physically accosted by an inmate. I felt in fear at that time. So it did kind of change the flavor of everything. But I do believe that if I had been at a point where I was strong and courageous and not so broken, not so desperate as I was, that it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have happened.
I know you took money out, I think, of out of your bank account or a savings policy that you had. You bought a vehicle, an escape vehicle. Did it seem real even the day you were driving to the prison to help him break out? I mean, did it seem like this was really going to happen?
No, it never seemed like it was going to happen. I still sometimes can't believe it did happen. The whole time, we were talking about it, it was kind of like a game, like, well, what if this happened? And what if this happened? And I never really believed it. And
so I wanted to play that because when I spoke to her too last night, she said, in addition to that inmate giving her accolades and giving her attention and protecting her, she said her then husband, she was married. Don't forget, she was a married woman when she broke this guy out. She said her husband paid zero attention to her and gave her no love at all. And their relationship was just really like a shell. They were not doing anything that, loving couples would do. Like, he didn't ask her, how was your day? How are you? It was just that she said they were coexisting. And that's another thing here that we look at with Vicky White is that, she was by herself and nobody, to give her attention. And she found it with Casey White. He probably saw that and preyed on her and knew that he had an in. But we're going to have her on. We're going to have Toby Dorr on. We're going to interview her during the week. Ed, you're going to be traveling though. But so we'll try to do it at night because she's on the West Coast. She lives in Washington State.
Okay.
So actually, she lives in DC. So that's not correct. So you're going to be 3 hours behind us or 2 hours behind us. but we'll work it out. We'll work out the time so we can interview her. But her story was fascinating because it mirrored Vicky White quite a bit, and the way she got this inmate out of the prison in the jail in Kansas was it was just insane. Putting him in a dog crate and putting him on a wheelbarrow that she would wheel out 50-pound bags of food in and out of the jail, which was a common thing that she did. They just placed the cage on top of the wheelbarrow, and she wheeled him right out into her car. And 2 other inmates actually put him in her car, and she drove out of the prison with him. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But that was in 2006. So we're looking at 16 years ago. There was those kind of security flaws in our jails and prisons, and it still exists in 2020 from within. Now, she was a civilian that was just there doing some kind of program for inmates and dogs, and she was able to get out. Ed, speaking of dogs, when's your doggy coming?
Next Sunday, I'll have the dog home.
Are you kidding me? We got to do a special show. We got to show the dog live dog cam.
Okay, we'll show the fur baby.
There you go. There you go. Listen, Ed and I want to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day. I hope you guys all have a wonderful, wonderful day. And if you're home and you are solo, we're here, and you're going to have this live broadcast to look at. Look at the beginning, look at the middle, and look at the end, because on there in those parts, we're wishing together, myself separately before Ed joined. We're wishing you guys a happy Mother's Day. The chat is going crazy. There's 1,800 people here. I know that everybody doesn't want us to leave, so let's go to the chat, Ed, and you and I will pick out a couple of questions. Keep the questions pertaining to Vicky White and Casey White on the run, and we will pick out some of the questions in the chat. Happy Mother's Day to our wives, coming from Mandy Chadwick.
Thank you, Mandy.
Thank you. And guys and girls, if you're not yet subscribed, if you're new, just stumbling across this live stream, we are 2 retired New York City police detectives. We have 20 plus years of law enforcement. Ed is a retired crime scene investigator. I worked in the fugitive enforcement division. So a lot of these cases, we both can work really good together with giving you guys a bird's eye view and a perspective from the investigator's standpoint. So here's a question coming in from Jalen K. Do you think that they have escaped the country? I'll answer that. No. Ed, what do you think?
I probably not, but if it was, they should have. If they were looking to have any kind of life together, not always looking over their shoulder and everything like that, then they should have, but probably not.
Yeah. And the easiest bet would not be going up to Canada, because Canada has a pretty tight border. I think the easiest place for them to go out, and you and I talked about this, is the southern border, Costa Rica, anywhere in Mexico. There's a no extradition policy there. It's hard to get people out of there. That's why some of the folks like Dog the Bounty Hunter and some of the other ones that were on the run took run and went down there. It's very easy to cross in there. Here's one from Garden Junkie. Do you think she took Casey and disposed of him? Do you think she took Casey and disposed of him and she left on retirement? I think that's like remotely. There's a very remote chance. I think if you flip that question, where did he get rid of her? Then I would say yes. Right, Ed?
Well, she lost her pension. It's gone. The sheriff already said that. She's got no access to any monthly payments coming to her.
Correct. Yeah, her pension is null and void. She got fired. She did not get her pension. She's not able to get it. Bridget says, DutyRon, was the vehicle broken down or is just abandoned? Did they check for a scent trail? Yeah, if you look back, I covered this on this live stream. They showed the dogs in Tennessee. Crime scene unit was there. The dogs were there. The officers with the heavy guns, with the assault rifles, were on property in that area where the vehicle was either abandoned or it broke down. We don't have knowledge of the mechanics of the vehicle. We don't know if it did in fact break down or if it was just abandoned there. Nobody's been clear about that. Ed, have you seen anything on that?
No, I mean, just the sheriff speculating that he thinks it broke down. There's been no mechanical inspection of the vehicle, or given information such as that. The mechanic looked at it and yeah, it broke down,
Right.
which would be very easy to do. So no one's really told us that.
Yeah. Yeah, we have no inside information in regards to that. Crown Royal with Mr. Putin's picture. That's a great choice of a picture. I'm saying that. I'm not saying that seriously.
He's got a boot over his face.
Says Mexico. Yeah, I don't even like to see his face. Paul Judd says he needs connections in the U.S. Yes, that's where we would have most of his connections to get him supplies, to get things. To get him drugs, to get him medication or things of that nature. And you think about the long run. If the two of them, if one of them gets hurt or needs a medical, that's a way. And I talked to Toby Dorr, who we just played the thing. She said the way she got caught is that she bought a second vehicle. There was the getaway vehicle, and then she bought a second vehicle. And because she wasn't an experienced criminal, she gave the actual location of because they had their hideaway where they were going to hide from state, going from Kansas to Tennessee. She gave that address for the title of the other vehicle she bought, and the US Marshals got the title from the DMV records, and they staked them out, and then they went out on her captor, the guy she broke out, John is his name. He drove on a high-speed chase and crashed straight into a tree with them. I'll show that on the live stream when we have her on. I have it here saved, but that was just unbelievable what happened. I want to know about Vicky, says Bonnie Walker. Upbringing, family, siblings, school, marriage, overview of how she could switch gears so completely. I mean, it just seems like it was very shocking to everybody around her. She pulled the wool over the eyes. Ed, what do you think about this? She pulled the wool over the eyes of all the administrators below her because she wasn't the head honcho there, right? Sheriff Singleton was shocked by it, and all of the other supervisors who we didn't hear from, including the district attorney we did hear from, they were all like, how could this happen? So
Yeah.
she pulled the wool over everyone's eyes.
Oh yeah. I mean, look, she fits a certain profile of these women that do this, and she knows the system inside and out. So she knew exactly how to skirt it, and she did it. She planned for over 2 years. You would think she was planning this, and she liquidated her house. She gathered up her funds from several different banks.
Right.
She stayed in a hotel the night before. She got the car. I mean, you can see it's well thought out and well planned. But then, like any plan, the first thing to go out the window when you get hit in a situation like this is the plan. And they had to alter their plan on the fly because the car got the information about the getaway car got out, and they, so now their plan has been altered to some degree. And when now they have to adapt and overcome to this. And this is a lot of times where they make the mistakes.
Right. And that's based on if that, in fact, was the getaway car, a bright orange Ford.
I think it started out as the getaway car. It definitely did when they transferred from the patrol vehicle to the orange Ford.
And that tells me and you that she wasn't that smart, because that was a horrible choice of a color for a vehicle. I mean, anyways, Tennessee Girl says, do you think they're hunkering down or on the move? I think that they are laying low, trying to wait it out in some remote, desolate area. And they want things to calm down a little bit, but they will eventually have to move. They're not going to be able to stay where they are, or they could be on the move. Just my guess. What do you think, Ed?
I think they're getting help. I definitely think they're getting help in his network, not hers. Okay. And initially they because think about it, as I said earlier, they're driving with a lot of baggage. So your car just doesn't break down, and then, okay, what happened? The car's empty. So what happened to the clothing? What happened to the weapons? What happened to all this stuff? They're not just walking on the street with this.
Right.
And nobody's been reported abducted. There's been no carjackings reported. There's been no thefts of cars reported that we know of.
Right.
from where the car was found, in the area that the car was found. So I'm thinking, okay, they got help. They got another car. That car was planted where it was found, and they're on the run.
Yeah. I also feel that the US Marshals and everybody involved in this is going to be very tight-lipped about information that they get, because they want to catch them, right? So if they have, let's just say they get data or they get a tip that they're in a new car, would have another vehicle. They put that vehicle out there. They're going to get rid of that vehicle and try to get to another one. So some of the things now that we've seen, the missteps that have happened early on, they're not going to be so forthcoming with putting out information, because they don't want the public. But right now, this is not like a missing persons case or an abduction, of a child. They don't want the public confronting these two, because now you have more liability and more chance for tragedy, for the loss of life. This is not just a simple case of two people on the run. This is definitely one murderer and a really dangerous, no regard for human life fella, and a woman that's with him that's kind of swayed his way. So now we have to take her as, in the presence of a murderer and somebody who can potentially turn out to be a killer, if he's got her that fully brainwashed. I don't know, Ed, what do you think? I mean, that's my thinking for safety, public safety, where our job is to protect and serve. And would we want, the masses to, be searching for these two? These are dangerous people. Our own law enforcement, we worry for them. I pray every night for this to end peacefully, but I don't see it ending peacefully. This guy's a psycho. Cheer Talk Anthony Ganji sends in a $10 super chat. A complacent facility is a culture problem. Scary. This is at any facility, is when complacency becomes practice. When that occurs, policies and procedures go out the window. Yeah, I think this jail, Ed, should be temporarily shut down, and a change of complete. People are going to get really pissed at me for this, but this is the truth. They should clean house and just switch.
It's funny because the sheriff was asked that very question, and he said he's not going to make any changes. And I was like, "What? What do you mean you're not going to make any changes?"
I couldn't freaking believe it. I said this the last live stream. I was like, this guy was asked straight out, "Are you going to change any of these policies? Are you going to change?" All the policies are in place. They just didn't get followed.
Well, he's an elected official. It don't bode well for him that he'll be reelected sheriff.
And people do have a lot of love for the guy. I mean, he is a likable guy, right? But when you have this kind of up, you need to tear things down and rebuild. And he admitted it all falls on me, right? It starts with me. I'm the sheriff. I run this whole place. So, yeah. You look in the New York City Police Department, if you had a commanding officer at a precinct have a major debacle happen to him, he could be on vacation at that time. He comes back, he's transferred.
Exactly. That's what happens with us here. Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
The bottom line, the buck stops with the commanding officer.
Yeah. And he's the commanding officer of the Lauderdale County Jail and probably the Lauderdale County Police as well. So the bottom line here is their police department found the sheriff's vehicle 3 hours into this thing, and it took 6 hours to put out something, and they didn't even put out an alarm, or if they did put an alarm out on that vehicle, the Ford, when it was taken in, nobody checked it. So in Tennessee, nobody said, let me run this VIN, let me see if this thing's wanted for some kind of a murder or some kind of hit and run or some kind of stolen, anything. But some tow company just took it and said, you know what? Oh, let's put this in the pound. Well, and that was it. That's what they did. They put it in the pound. And then 4 days later, somebody said, you know what? I saw something on the internet on Crime Time with DutyRon, and I think we should run that VIN. So anyways, it is what it is. Why aren't we not hearing anything from Casey's family? Listen, if I was his family, I wouldn't talk to anybody either. You know, why should they say something to anybody? Bren, that's a very good question, though, right? Why aren't we hearing from them? Maybe they're unstable. Maybe they're that family might have a history of drug use. Might not really like the police or talking to officials. Who knows? I don't know. Shrek and Fiona, somebody said in the chat. That's a pretty good one. I actually like that. JD Butter says they are Shrek and Fiona. That's a pretty good analogy right there.
Is that you or me? Do you hear that sound?
Yeah, it's not me. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's some kind of notifications, emails coming in. All my stuff is shut down, so I don't know. Maybe the US Marshals are banged into our chat here. Anyways, Teresita Hills says Casey's mom said he was not a monster. Of course not. He was probably an altar boy, according to her.
Yeah. Right? Let's see his communion photo.
Yeah. But yeah, so they had close to $100,000 available to her in cash. What is that?
Are you touching something?
I'm looking. Oh, new firmware. This is my computer telling me there's new firmware.
Okay.
Hold on. This is for my sound machine. Let me click that off. All right, thank you. It's telling me to update my Go XLR so I can do
Bueller. Yes.
Yeah, that's the machine wants me to update it. Anyways, Alicia B is laughing out loud. Listen, cry. You're used with that? All right, Ed, let's I guess that's time to end. Another super sticker came in. We may have one or two more of those. Brandon Jones sends in the $2 super sticker. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Again, the support on this case and the interest on this case has been astronomical. Ed, Crime Time with DutyRon, the people are sending.
Yeah, even folks, even my wife is into this case. As a major case detective, she's all over this. She wants to track these people down. She's like, "What's going on? What's going on?" It's captured a lot of America.
I turned off the notifications. They're gone. Yes, it's captured it's captured the world, not even just the United States. I have people chiming in from New Zealand. We have people across the globe asking questions. Crime Time with DutyRon, before I was getting freaked out by all those noises. Crime Time with DutyRon has gotten the most, even more than Gabby Petito, questions sent into my website. The NSA is tapping in. There you go. Melissa Hollins, thank you, Ed, for taking over while I'm trying to figure things out here. Thank you for the super sticker, Melissa. We always appreciate hey guys, and I want to say the super thanks. That's the people who watch the replay. We love the replay viewers. Ed and I love the engagement after the live stream's over. That's the comments down below in the comment section and the replay viewers. But now replay viewers are leaving super chats and thanks. They're called super thanks. So that's enabled on Crime Time with DutyRon. And so many people leave such great messages like, "Hey, you enlightened me on this video. Hey, thank you for your time, you and Ed." So super thanks is a great way to say thank you to me and Ed and the community. You could leave community messages. It stays in the comment section forever. So that's really cool.
I don't know if we talked about this, but where's her cell phone? I mean, she's not, doesn't have it anymore. Did they recover that cell phone? If they recovered that cell phone, if they recovered any of her laptop computers or whatever the case may be, they should be searching all of those things to see what kind of research she's been doing.
Yeah. I would love to hear about the research that she's been doing. And I think that obviously if that phone is available and if I'm sure they're going to subpoena whatever carrier is in the Lauderdale County area where she lived, whether that's Sprint or whatever it is that she was using, T-Mobile, Verizon. They've already subpoenaed those records, and it would be really interesting to see her search history. And if she bought a burner phone, that's going to be, something that they're going to be using on the go. That's a little more challenging. So, but yeah, Ed, that's going to give us tons of things to talk about. And I think that there will be a lot.
I hope they downloaded the hard drive off the car to see where that car has been and so forth and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that forensic part, people are asking, did they get scents from the vehicle? We don't have that information. We don't have access to the case file. But we saw the dogs in Middle Tennessee over there by Springfield where they abandoned and ditched that car. They definitely looked and probably checked for scents. They checked for any type of droppings or any type of forensic evidence, Ed. That's right up your alley. A complete sweep of that car. But because the car was tainted for 4 days sitting in a freaking lot, not secured, probably not unlocked, and that anybody could have went in it and tried to get stuff out of it or go through it. That's another cringeworthy moment for us.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know they went back after the fact to the location where the car was recovered from and searched the immediate area. But, nothing is known of that. There's no results.
Yeah. Hey, Toby Dorr did a interview yesterday on Newsnation, and it's like, I don't know, it's like a minute and a half, 2 minutes.
Mhm.
I'd like to see what she said yesterday. I'm going to fast forward that because now that I shut off all of the notifications, let's hear what she had to say, because she was asked directly, how does this escape? Is there any parallels to what yours was? And she agreed, I believe. So let's play that and then we'll wrap it up, Ed. I promise.
Okay.
I promise.
And while many have been left baffled by the motivations in this case,
People were saying, we don't really know what happened. And I thought, I know exactly what happened.
that's because Toby Dorr, previously known as Toby Young, did the same thing in 2006. At the time, she was married and running a volunteer dog training program at a state prison in Kansas when she met John Maynard, who was serving a life sentence for a deadly carjacking.
You're at a point in your life where you just feel invisible and you feel broken and you feel so alone and lonely, and somebody notices. Common sense just goes right out the door.
She says she got Maynard out of prison in a dog crate, and they went on the run hoping to create a life together.
Amazing.
While Toby says she's confident the two were in love, things began to change outside of prison walls.
For instance, he had a pretty quick temper and he'd get mad about stuff. It made me start to think, well, this might not have been the best decision.
The pair lived in a cabin in
You
Tennessee
think?
for most of their 12 days on the road.
Look at the cabin. They were there for 12 days. That's where she gave the address away to with motor vehicle.
Decision.
The pair lived in a
Look at that. In the middle of nowhere.
I just kept thinking that dog crate must be huge.
She said it was huge. It was
Yeah.
a big one. It was a big dog crate because it was a full-size man. And she said he put a cardboard box around him and he kind of put his knees up over his, she said, this is her words, not mine. She said he put his knees up over, or his legs up over his head, and he kind of contorted himself into the, my bird is laughing.
Tennessee for most of their 12 days on the run until one day
This is
being
the
spotted
accident.
by law enforcement. A high-speed chase followed, topping 100 miles per hour, ending when the
Into a
couple
tree.
smashed into a tree.
I wasn't ready for it to be over yet. My initial thoughts the first few days after I was arrested is, how am I in jail? How did I get to this point in my life?
After serving 27 months behind bars for aiding the escape, Toby remarried, rehabilitated her life, and says she now fears for Vicky White's well-being.
It sounds like she's been an outstanding employee, an outstanding member of her community. You need to look at everything as a collective and not just judge someone by their worst mistake.
Wow.
And Toby says there.
Interesting, right?
Mhm.
So we're going to have her on as a guest, and that's going to be fascinating because we're going to get her take. We'll ask her a lot of tough questions about this. Hey, I promised everyone that the Sally port, the door closing. This is 2 seconds. I want you guys to see this.
It stayed in the open position from
hold
the
on.
time she entered until the time she exited.
Yeah, but I want now we have more video of after she exited of it closing. So they did it ass backwards, basically.
Yeah.
So I want to show everybody this because I only saw this just this morning, and I was like, oh, I wanted to see this. So let's play this. So it just backs it up. It plays it in reverse, and then it plays it going forward. There's no sound to this, by the way. I'm not sure why they did it like this, but I want to
Well,
move it forward. I want you guys to, all I really want to show is the part where they leave here. Okay, I'll fast
okay,
forward.
see, but that door's open already.
Yeah, it's open here. Just show them here. She's coming out with it open
Right.
and not even looking at him. He could have scooted out to the left or to the right. He could headbutt her here and take the car over and drive out with it.
Could have choked her out.
But now this is going to show them leaving, and then this gate right here up in front is going to close. It should have been closed as they
Yeah,
came
but
out.
even that inner door should have been closed. The door they walked out of to get to the car, that door was wide open.
It seems like it's always wide open.
Yeah.
It never closes. But now we're going to see after she leaves, that gate now is being manned by someone in a control room. So how could that person not see all of this craziness? Here, watch, it's going to start to close. Is this tape going to make a liar out of me? Of course not. I watched it myself. It closes.
Is it still running? Yeah, time is still running.
It's still running. That's why I just checked.
Okay, here it comes.
Coming down.
Yeah, and that inner door, the one that we see right there,
Is open.
is still open.
I mean, that could just be again, that if these two doors are operating properly, then you don't have a security issue other than, yes, someone can slip in there when that gate comes up and get in and go into the prison, or someone could slip out. Thank you, Brandon, for the $2 super sticker. Much appreciated. But yeah, this facility doesn't seem like it's run well. And you and I got reports from people locally that many have escaped from there. I didn't look into it, but
Remember, it's a jail, right? In holding these prisoners that came from prison so that they can go back and forth to their court appearances. Okay. Right. So obviously the sheriff is wrong when he's saying that no protocols need to be changed.
Right. Hey, Ann A says, DutyRon, why isn't there any current pictures of Vicky? There's current video and snap pictures of her that day that she broke them out. They have them. We know what she looks like. They're out there. I don't know why is everybody held up on that? There's up close pictures and video of her as she exits the jail. And the people who really need those pictures are the police, and they have them, you know.
Right.
So
there's video of her that was released in the hotel lobby, checking in, checking out. There's videos of her in various stores. So I mean, all that has been released.
Yeah. So Frisco says 2 doors open, Sallyport, only 1 door open at a time. That's why it's called Sallyport. Yeah. So when they come out of the facility, that door behind them should shut, and both of those Sallyport gates should be down. That's right. Protocol.
When she initially opens that inner door to the hall, the outer door to that little cubicle should be closed. When they enter the cubicle, then the door behind them slams shut, and then the door to the Sallyport opens. And then when she gets into the car, then the gate goes up and she drives out, but the gate was left open the whole time.
Yeah. See, this door that she's opening, that closed, but this door right here.
Yeah, that should be closed.
Yeah, and that never at any time seems to close. They left it open. So there's people inside, there's personnel inside that need to be held accountable for all of these security missteps. And as we see this, it is just shocking to see it, because it is concerning, major league concerning, because it shouldn't happen.
Seems to me a lot of people that were working that day at those at that area should be fired.
Yeah, Lauderdale County Jail. You definitely you have some splaining to do. That's for sure. And I've been into hundreds, arguably maybe thousands of jails over my time, in different states and within New York State. And I've never seen anything like this. I mean, even when I used to go over to White Plains Police Department, they had their own holding facility. Like, in other words, when you brought someone into their precinct, they had a Sallyport just like that set up in White Plains. You would pull in to an underground garage, and you'd have to hit the intercom, NYPD here for a pickup, and you'd have to show your credentials on the thing, and you know, they would open up the gate. We'd go in, the gate would close down behind us. We'd have to lodge and put our guns away, and then go into the facility unarmed, and she's got a gun on her there too. She's got a sidearm. That's another big no-no. Why is she moving in and out of a facility here with a gun on her? That too shouldn't be happening. And she said she was the only one qualified to transport that day because she was the only armed qualified person to take him. It was another part of the justification, which is insane in itself. But she's now moving in and out of this location with a sidearm, and with again, all these all the gates up, where this guy had just could have. What if 2 other inmates were in there and just all of a sudden took a run for it, and now we have multiple escapees on the same day. Probably 5 or 10 of guys could have gotten out of there if they were there. Anyways, that's the crazy part. Happy Mother's Day to everybody. Ed, you see anything? Yep. Retired New York State. Wow.
Department of Corrections.
Cindy
Yep. We agree, Cindy.
Yeah. So many. We could do this all day long, Ed, but we got to get going. So let's take this thing off the screen, and let's wish everybody a great Mother's Day again for the 14th time. Much love and respect from Ed, Wallace, and I. Ed's going to be in the state of Utah. Ed, Utah?
Yes, I'm going to be in Utah. Yes.
Excellent. Maybe you can take some pictures for us of the mountains there, and maybe
it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
You go see Mike King over in Ogden if you're in that area. That's where he lives. So, Ed's going to be on business, so we'll have him available at night. Are you going to bring your gear with you?
Yes, of course.
Ed Wallace travels with this microphone and a suitcase full of his gear,
camera, lighting, the whole 9.
He's a badass. I'll tell you that right now. He is a bad. There you go, Ed Wallace. All right, guys. Wishing you a happy Mother's Day. Ed, any final words?
Well, like, as usual, be safe, be prepared, watch your 6.
Amen to that. Everybody be safe. And if you come across these 2 individuals by some remote chance, be very careful. Call 911. Keep yourself safe.
We want to take you now to Florence, Alabama, where
No, we don't want to go to Florence, Alabama. Have a safe week. We'll talk to you soon. God bless the world. God bless the United States of America, and God bless each and every one of us here in the chat. But especially all victims of crime. They need us now here on Mother's Day. All of the folks who are victims, families. I've been reaching out to Gabby Petito's mom and quite a few others that we've had on the show, and wishing them as best a Mother's Day as you can put, as you can put forward. So I'll see you guys all soon. Laura Honey Shortlegs. Wow. $20 super sticker. That is a hell of a screen name. Laura Honey Shortlegs sends in $20. Thank you, Laura. We greatly appreciate you. Take care from New York, and we'll see you soon.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.